It's the GAA Social on BBC Sounds, and we're back again for another horrendous hour or good hour, depending on your viewpoint, Oisin. What are you thinking?
Should be a good hour. I'll be told to smile more because we're on YouTube now.
That's right.
So
Hang on.
that's that out of the way.
No.
That's that out of the way. for
Somebody's
next
listening
hour.
to that, they'll... What was that silence? The two boys have lost the plot. So, well, this is fairly special, and again, a little bit different. But as important a podcast as we'll probably do, because of the way in which our guest is, I think, and he'll cringe at this, is just valued and respected within society. Immediately he's bottling up. It's a compliment. We're not good at taking it. John McAreavey, down Gaelic footballer, former, and unfortunately for him, I think former Tullylish Gaelic footballer now, still seems to be wrestling with it in his mind. We'll maybe come to that. And as many people will know, is the former husband of Michaela Harte, Michaela McAreavey. So this podcast, I suppose, will obviously touch upon everything that happened at that time in a sense. But I want to frame it at the start that this is about you, John. And this is kind of about this fella sitting in front of us, comes from a Gaelic Games background, still involved. We'll come to that as well. I believe coaching is the future down manager sitting in front of us here, potentially, Oisin. Why have you agreed to do it? Because it's not that I'm saying it's a massive decision for you, but it's a call to make. Why do you feel that, I'm happy to do that?
Sure, you promised me a load of money, didn't you?
That's true, yeah. BBC are going to pay you loads.
Might get in a bit of that action. Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of the podcast. I like the show. I like you guys, and I think I've did like maybe one podcast before. And most of the time that I've been talking in a media setting has always been around really difficult things.
Yeah.
And generally always in the pursuit of justice for Michaela. So I guess it's quite refreshing to be able to talk in a different environment and about other things than that. And as I say, because I'm in the GAA, like there's a comfort zone there that you can just talk to people that know you at a certain level, Yeah. So, yeah.
How are you?
I'm good, yeah. I would probably say I'm really good, I'm in a certain season of my life that I can say that, and hasn't always been the case, but yeah, I'm in a good place.
And for people that are unaware, you're married, you have 2 kids, you had to go not deep south to meet Tara, but deep enough. Kildare?
Mid-range,
yeah.
Mid-range.
Just give me a sense of life at the minute, John. It seems busy.
It is, yeah, but I wouldn't change it. So, yeah, I've got 2 kids now with Tara, 2 bundles of joy, wee James at 5 and Lily at 3. We'll call her Lily because of the lily whites, actually, in Kildare.
Right.
Okay.
that take much twisting of your arm.
Not really. I did like it.
You didn't think of going for morning, Lily, just out of curiosity?
Not the quite same ring to it, but so yeah, I suppose anybody that you've got sort of young kids, it is busy, but as I say, it's a privilege. I'm very busy then in my work life as well. I'm running the business that my father founded with my brother Brian. And we have a growing team there, great challenges. My health is good,
You're looking fit. Like, you
Thank you.
You do look fit, just because you're a former Tullylish footballer, and first thing I said when you walked through the door was, "Are you still playing?"
Yeah, no, I've finally had to admit to myself that it's time to go. I'm 41, I'll be 42 this year, but fitness is a big part of my life. It always has been and always will be, as much for the mental health other than the physical. So please God, I'll always be able to maintain that. But I've actually got sort of quite into my running this past year or so.
Right.
And that has sort of created a new lease of life, because all of a sudden you're learning a new sport again. and I'm quite competitive. So I always thought running after football would be, oh, this would be really nice and relaxing, and you don't have to think about hitting top speeds and going out and sprinting all the time. So you can just go out for leisurely strolls. But the more I've got into it, the competitiveness takes over. I'm trying to get better, and I'm now working with a running coach and
Right.
marathons and all the rest.
Right.
But I really like it. Like,
Running coach now, it's
I know.
sounds a bit intense. John.
Well, I suppose I'm always trying to understand how to get better at anything, and coaching is the way to do that. You know, talk to people that know more about it than you do.
What would you do? You're running? Would you just road run?
Road run, yeah. So last year I did a couple of half marathons in Belfast and Antrim, and I just did the training locally. I suppose that's the freedom of running. You just step out the door and off you go. But yeah, I'm really enjoying sort of learning about it. I do think there's a big growth in running as well, from what I can sort of see and feel, which is just brilliant because it's accessible to everybody, you know, and everybody can do it, you know. So I think that's a great thing.
Brilliant. Yeah. Fantastic. Suppose, I asked you at the very beginning, like, why have you agreed to come on? And I'm just hugely conscious that you're married now and you have 2 kids, and life has gone in a direction obviously you didn't intend at the very beginning, but circumstances dictate things in your life that you're out of control. Life is short, and you're trying to make the best of your life here. And I want to be as respectful as I can, John. That's very important, and that's my sort of main thing in this to everybody, and I hope to God that I'm able to do that. But I suppose just the one thing I just thought, right, above everything else, it's moving on. And that intrigues me, that phrase, because I even find that phrase can be, well, there could be a perception that's offensive in itself. How many moving on, you know? I'm acutely aware that it's private, and you don't need to be explaining it. But I just think it's an area where a lot of people take a lot of trauma in different ways and try to move on. And I just thought there's no better human being to be sitting in front of us now to try and unpick that. So are you okay with that? Does that sound a bit...
There's quite a bit in that, but I am, yeah. I would be here, like, you know, if I felt differently. But moving on is a term that has never been comfortable with me. I've said in the past, I believe, about moving forward.
Okay.
And to me, that just changes the reference around it, because personally, I'll never move on from something like that. You can't just let that be now. You have to find a way to sort of move forward with that. And so I'm 41 now. Michaela was murdered 15 years ago. That's a large chunk of my life that I've had this as part of it. So I had to find a way to move forward with it. And because I'm still heavily involved in trying to, you know, find justice for Michaela, that it's still a very active part of my life. But I've a lot of faith in God, like, and God has always looked after me. And I don't want to be coming across as overly pious or anything like that, because it's not the case. It's just how I felt.
You do understand that that's a fairly remarkable thing to say, that you feel that God has always looked after you, when from the outside looking in, people could say that,
well, where was he back then?
It's kind of been anything but.
Yeah, but then it's just how I felt, you know, just like right from the moment that happened, like, you know, I felt that sort of, that warmth and that protection, like, and that feeling of being looked after. So never really felt alone too much in that way. I think a lot of that probably was down to Michaela as well, because the amount of faith that she had in God, like, you know. So I think that's a big reason why I've always sort of felt like that. But yes, you know, I am someone that lives with gratitude. You know, I live with gratitude, and like, I can't look at my life and explain it any other way, because I've just got so many things that are good in my life, you know. And if I list them out, you know, I've got my wife Tara, I've got the kids, you know, I've got my health, I've got a brilliant family, I've got a great group of friends. And yes, I've had this awful traumatic experience, but I got to have Michaela, you know, and I got to experience her for a short time, really. Um, so I guess it's about perspective, isn't it, really, Thomas? You know, um, but that's just how I feel about it.
I think it's such a lovely way in which you've illustrated that. And whether somebody listening to this who's no more interested in God than the man on the moon, who could be an atheist, could be whatever, but whether that's God, whether it's faith, whether it's just attitude, like your attitude, the way you explained that is so lovely, because you could have gone in a completely different way.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I can understand that. You know, why people think, God, why aren't you so angry about this and so bitter about that? So I'm very fortunate to feel like that the way that I do. But
Was there any wavering with that? Was there a moment after Michaela's death where you wavered, you questioned?
I never once ever sort of asked the question, why did this have to happen to me? It was always more, I just felt so sorry for Michaela. Probably at the very beginning, I was more like, I was probably coming from a place where I'm glad that I'm the one having to suffer this now, because if it had happened maybe the other way around and something, I had been involved in an accident and I wasn't here, I wouldn't have wanted Michaela to experience what I was experiencing. But so no, it didn't waver in that sense, Aishin, but there's definitely been periods like of, you know, well, a hell of a lot of frustration, probably having to deal with all the bullshit after, and anger, you know, and anger with, yeah, probably that, dealing with authorities over there and that stuff, and
Because it's not a normal loss.
it's not a normal loss, no, and in many ways, like, it's like you almost see yourself as this character, you know, in this whole situations, like, because you couldn't really dream something up like that, could you? Like, it's awful, but I was just landed in it, and I just had to sort of find my way through that, and it's only now that I'm able to talk about it, you know, quite logically,
Yeah.
and pragmatically. Um, but there's still a hell of a lot of pain associated with that. But I accept that that's just always going to be the case. But I've been able to sort of find a way to manage that pain, and to live with that pain, and because I know what that feels like and how intense that is, so I know how to manage that better now. And because I feel I have a real personal responsibility around looking to live a life that continues to be full of beauty, full of love, and full of gratitude. Because what's the point otherwise? Like, we're only getting one spin here, and you know, it's the only way that I would know how to live a life. Like, I have a real sense of responsibility about that, you know, because Michaela, her life ended at 27. So, you know, is my life going to end then at that? Like, what would be the point in that? Do you know, creating more loss? So, like, I'm very privileged that I'm still here. I take that seriously. Like, every day is a real gift. So, I don't get me wrong, like, everybody's got shitty days, but I have a sense of perspective about things that I really want to sort of make this count, you know. And probably that has got more profound as kids have come into my life,
Yeah.
because they create that sort of, you know, that sense of joy that you have an obligation to share that joy with them, you know.
When you met Tara, that's a moment. And are you open to that moment? Or were you open to that moment before you met Tara? That moving forward piece, because that's the bit. If you're asking me honestly, of everything since Michaela died, and you know, obviously with the trial, the two hotel workers found not guilty, everything that happened at that time, person who reported the two workers ended up taking his own life. A real public trial. Like it was awful. It was just someone to watch from thousands of miles away. But to do that, is there? How did you feel? How did you address that? Was anybody resentful of that? You know, people. Oh, I don't know.
There's the judgment piece.
Judgment, yeah. I mean, there is. I feel bad saying that and bringing that up, but there are people that do judge. Thou shall not judge seems to be slipping in a lot of people. Just how did you manage all that? Did you say, I'm making a conscious decision to move on in my life and I'm open to maybe meeting someone? Or did you meet someone and that maybe change things? If that's not too personal a question, John.
No. A lot of my personal life has been out there for a long time. So
and with that comes nearly a sense of people will talk about you, and maybe even myself could ask a question to you that you wouldn't dare dream of asking another person.
Maybe. I've always been quite open, and to a large degree, like what other people think of me, honestly, it doesn't bother me. Like, it's never really bothered me. I'm very lucky to be able to say that. Like, I mean, that's just about them. Yeah. It's got nothing to do with me.
And I don't want to overcook that. I'm not saying like loads of people are saying.
No, I know.
But
I know.
I'm not naive.
What have you been told, Thomas?
No.
No, but I am aware of it. Like, and I've read things, over the years, and it's still very much there. But it says more about those people than me. But I suppose going back, it wasn't an overly conscious decision that I want to go and meet somebody or anything, but it's really funny, and I do believe in God gives gifts, and so you can recall the match for Michaela that we did in Casement Park.
Yes.
And isn't it brilliant that we're starting to see real movement there in Casement Park? But we had 20,000 people up at the match for Michaela, and the Ulster GAA were just fantastic to us at that time and put on a brilliant event. I was heavily involved, and very busy with it all because I was working at the same time. And I said, do you know what, I need to have something after this. So me and my friends had arranged to go down to Galway the week after match for Michaela. But it was obviously a very emotional time and all as well, been involved in that. But I can always recall on the Monday morning waking up after the match for Michaela, which was on a Saturday, I felt a lot lighter. Something had definitely changed, for me. And there was a lightness and there was a positivity that I'd never sort of felt for a long time. And then I went to Galway then on the Saturday night, and I bumped into Tara, and just a conversation struck, and off it went, And there was also something significant for me at that time, the match for Michaela. There was as part of the end of the event ceremony, we did these Chinese lantern things, and it must have been during the week when I was actually watching it back on TV. They actually went up into the sky and they formed the shape of an M.
Yeah.
And I read that as Michaela just saying, John, I'm fine here, and off you go type of thing, move on forward there, So that was a big thing. And then a couple of days later, I met Tara. So when I talk about God-given gifts, that's what I mean. Yeah. That's what I mean. So
it's very profound in my mind, the way you've described that with the lanterns. But
that's the truth. And actually, I think it was Tara that actually did this for me a couple of Christmases after that time. She actually had the match for Michaela jersey, and she framed it for me, and also an image of that, in it. So I took a lot from it at that time. So yeah, there's always gifts there for us. I think you just have to be allowing yourself to see them.
Yeah. And that happens, and it progresses, and life improves in that sense. I suppose, John, there's always been a thing in my mind, and I feel nearly bad, and even asking, but I suppose if you've met someone, maybe having to let Mickey Harte or Mark Harte know that you've met someone, and I would imagine that is a quite a difficult piece. So, like, did you have to ring them? Did you ring them? And again, I want to stress, like, you don't have to sort of, answer this stuff, because
yeah.
I feel nearly bad in saying it, but at the same time, I think it's a great platform for that wee bit of clarity just around that, because there's a man, there's a brother who's lost their sister, lost a daughter, and maybe guilt is too much, but like, did you ring them? Did you meet them? Did you explain, or did you not have to do that?
Well, one of the interesting things that that happens, or that certainly happened to me, after a tragedy like that, was the bond that was struck between me and the Hearts, and specifically Mickey and Mark. A real closeness that you would probably never achieve over a lifetime, I don't think, with your father-in-law or your brother-in-law. So we became really good friends, and we all lent on each other at that time. And they genuinely would love me, and I love them. So I think when you love someone, you want the best for them. And that really has always been how it has felt with us. So whilst on a level, it was just reminding them of Michaela's not here, I truly believe that's they were just happy for me, because they seen the pain that I was in at some stage of my life, and that represented coming out of that pain. So yeah, I'm thinking back. I can remember talking to Mark about it first, and yeah, there was tears and stuff, but it was all from the right place, and they've always been very supportive. Then it's quite tricky to navigate all that, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is, because one of the things that I kept thinking at the time when I'd see you or Mark being interviewed, maybe over Mauritius or having come back, is that you always seem to be on the same page, and even with Mickey as well, he's always seemed to be on the same page. And I would imagine situations like this, that maybe doesn't always happen.
Yeah, would test things and stuff, wouldn't it? But that's why I think, because we were in a really good place in our relationship, me and Mark, me and Mickey, me and the Hearts, that it allowed that to sort of be handled in a certain way, and like Mickey and Marion would have been talking to me about that sort of idea long before I wanted to even hear about it.
Yeah.
Almost used to annoy me, because I wasn't ready even to let go of that, and but they're older and wiser and want the best for you. So I suppose them sort of almost putting that idea, almost giving you permission, it says a lot about them, doesn't it?
It does.
It says a lot about them. So yeah, thankfully we've been able to still have a brilliant relationship, and obviously things change over the years, we don't get to see the lads that much, but we've always had different things that we needed to be involved with anyway. And yeah, they're great people, so I like being around good people.
Yeah. Oisin and Mickey have a good relationship.
Yeah, I've seen that watching the football, like it's like to bounce off each other, like.
I think people get a view of that on TV and think that that's the way we are all the time.
Okay, I don't think they do.
I
don't think they do.
Because I know people who come up to me, whoever side they happen to be on, they're either telling me to give Mickey a break, or they're saying we'll get stuck in that boy again at the weekend. You know what I mean? So
As you know, Mickey's well fit for it.
Yeah.
Well fit for it.
That's fair.
you
That
know?
is definitely fair.
And,
that is true now.
You know, we could talk about football all day long. Like, he's remarkable. Like, you know, I was only talking to him actually during the week, and the hunger that he has still at this age of his life is incredible. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Considering what he's achieved as well, like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? To be
Yeah.
bringing that knowledge to another group,
yeah,
you know what I mean? It's
it's brilliant now.
and the travel.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's brilliant. Look, I just think that's lovely. It's lovely to hear, isn't it? And always feel quite torn when asking questions like that. But I think a lot of people will be maybe glad that it did, because the way in which even you just dropped in there, like I was chatting to Mickey last week, you know, and it's lovely to hear that. It's lovely to hear for people that you can move forward and still maintain those very important relationships. As you say, I mean, who describes their father-in-law as a really good friend? You know, the closest of friends in so many ways, going through them experience, and a brother-in-law. I don't get me wrong, I'm a big fan of.
I'm a big fan too.
No,
Just as
do
long
you know? Just yep. This is YouTube, so you see the way you pointed at the mic there. That's being picked up on camera, Oisin.
But
So, but it is lovely, and it's lovely to do that. But as you said, your words, like, it could be tricky enough to navigate.
yeah, and like, you know, you learn from your experiences, you know, and how to deal with certain things. But I do understand for other people looking from the outside in how that could be incredibly difficult, and you can't get your head around that. But we've all had to learn through this experience together. You know, everybody's got their own sort of feelings. You know, Mickey lost a daughter, and Mark lost a sister, and you know, one of the things that always and still does really today, but I've been able to manage it a bit better. But for a long time, I've dealt with a huge amount of guilt around what happened, Michaela. And that has been really, really difficult for me.
When you say guilt, you mean the day of the killing? Is that what
Well,
you mean, or afterwards?
I always believe that when you're with somebody, you know, and as a man, you know, you're there to protect that person. Like you know what it's like for your wives. Like, you've got that.
Yeah,
It's in you, isn't it?
100%.
And I just think that because of the relationship, especially that Michaela and Mickey had, and the only daughter, and that special relationship, and you know, she was with me, and she wasn't protected, you know, so that was difficult. That was difficult, like, you know.
Can you balance that with the pragmatism of a girl from Tyrone who liked biscuits and afterwards going up to the room in a lovely resort,
I know.
like my wife has done, like I'm sure Darina has done as well, nip up to the room to get something to come back?
Yeah.
Can you balance that sense of guilt with the pragmatism that you didn't do anything wrong?
Well, yeah, you do, yeah, and you have to, because it's the only way to take yourself out of that sort of space again, isn't it? Do you know? But yeah, I just think I have a daughter myself now, so I sort of feel that, you know, intensely, that sense of protection, do you know, and yeah, it's just something that I've always had to sort of live with and navigate through, you know, and you do have to come back to pragmatism, all right, you know, but don't know, it's always been a struggle, to be honest, that part, you know.
Do you know the one thing that's really shouting out at me here? I've never met Tara, just seen pictures, you know, the two of you together. Don't know the girl at all. But I have to say, I don't know if I've ever said this about someone before, but for someone I've never met and I don't know, I mean, she has to be someone
I was
truly,
just going to say the
Right.
exact same thing. Yeah.
she has to be somebody unbelievably special. Now, you're always going to say that because you married the girl, right? And I accept that. That's a lot to take on, John. I mean, that is a lot to take on. Very public.
She's in the firing line.
I just, she has to be somebody unbelievable.
Mm-hmm. She is. She is, and she probably doesn't know it as much herself, you know.
I mean, even you coming on this podcast, so Michaela's going to come up, obviously, and like even that conversation, like how did that work? I just think that's...
Yeah, like, I mean, our relationship has had to grow from a place that other relationships haven't had to grow from. You know, you generally meet somebody and, all right, there's maybe past relationships, but like the time that I met Tara, like I was still grieving, you know, and all of a sudden, you know, you're dealing with these new feelings towards somebody, and she's sort of been thrown into this limelight, and probably there was a naivety about Tara at the time, you know, and I was the one that was probably saying, because she was probably looking to back off a little bit, thinking this is just too difficult, and then there have been people saying to her, look, don't be getting involved there, like, you know.
Like, was there people saying that to you, or are you just have a notion?
No, there was, all right, like, you know, probably from a
good place.
From a good place, like, you know. But so we for a long time had to sort of like fight through all that there together, like, you know, and there's just been so much love there that it has always come back to that, even at times when it just looked too difficult. And you know, for her, like, thinking, what way actually is he, you know, what way is he thinking, you know, and how does he actually feel, and then me trying to sort of understand how I actually feel as well. So like, we're just incredibly close, incredibly connected, and she knows me more than anybody now. But she's always supported me so much, like, you know, even today when I'm having to still continue to deal with things, like, you know, her support has been paramount, you know. And it's really interesting because obviously now, you know, we're parents, and we've started to think about, there'll come a stage, you know, when they're old enough to understand that there's been a past here, and how do you sort of talk about that, and she would worry a lot about them because their daddies had to come through so much.
Yeah.
And I think even that in itself, like, she's just worrying about them now, and please God, it'll probably not be for another number of years, but
But your eldest is 6 now?
5.
5?
Yeah.
You know, it's not going to be that many more years.
No, there's not, you know, especially in this day and age, you know, so I do think about that, and yeah, what's the best way to sort of to communicate around that, but we'll find a way, like we always do, you know. Yeah. We'll deal with that as it comes, and we'll try to do it in the right way, but sure, there's no guidebooks for anything like this, is there, you know?
I've probably said that, I've told this one before, but obviously because of my past with gambling and stuff, my oldest was going into secondary school, and you know, I thought it's gonna get thrown at him at some stage. Yeah. So I'll gonna have to have that chat. So Drina said he's playing a soccer match in that loan today. That gives you a couple of hours on the way down, a couple of hours on the way home. And I said, listen, we got to about, don't know where we were, maybe Dundalk or somewhere, and I said, listen, there's something I need to talk to you about. And he turned and looked at me and said, if this is about the gambling, Granny's already told me everything.
You're too late.
So she definitely got me, she got me further down the lane, but that is a conversation because it did come up.
Yeah.
But at least he was prepared, because it is a cruel world out there. And I was just thinking, even from Tara's point of view, I mean, there would have been a lot of negativity, I'm sure, towards her at that time. I don't even know if social media was a big thing.
It was just starting. It was just starting to become a thing, really. You know.
And I don't know if you were reading that, or she was reading that, and that puts another layer onto what's already.
Yeah, I suppose there was always the sentiment around, you know, how could he ever love somebody the way he loved Michaela, you know? And it probably took a long time for Tara to convince herself of that, you know, of that there is that love there, you know, and you know, your heart is big, like, and I can love a lot of things, a lot of people, and I'm just lucky that I was able to experience that, you know. But it has taken a long time to get there, like, you know, it really has. So I'd like to think she's grew in confidence. She has. There's still probably, she's probably put up a bit, I would say maybe a little bit of a wall, you know, in terms of engaging with people around things, you know, because she would know that a lot of people would have been aware of my background and would maybe know who I was. So she was almost sort of just nervous of like people sort of engaging in that just because of that's what it was, you know.
Yeah.
But I think she's definitely sort of came through that largely. And again, because the kids ended our lives, then it just brings you to another level, I think, you know, in terms of who you are as a person. I think you become more sort of assured of what you're there for. And she's an incredible mother. And her energy is in that space. So everything else is just sort of circumstantial, I think, you know. We don't really give it too much other thought, you know.
Your heart is big. It can love a lot of things. It's
Yeah.
a beautiful way to... I've never heard it put like that before. Sounds kind of obvious, to be perfectly honest with you, but it's such a beautiful way.
But I guess I'm evidence of it,
Yeah.
you know, because
Yeah.
I came from a space where that was that, like, life's over, literally over here for me, you know, and because whenever you're sort of with somebody, you build your identity with that person, don't you? And it becomes just, you know, just who you are. So then it's like whenever Michaela was taken, then I felt completely destroyed. Didn't know what was here for me anymore, or didn't know who it was. But then you rebuild, and then, as I said, God looks after you, and presents these other gifts, and then you get to a space in your life where you can really be glad for it, like, you know.
It's... I just... The longer this podcast goes on, the more respect and value I have for Tara, a woman that I've never met. You know, it's maybe it's a naivety in my sense, and I was aware of it going into this podcast and aware of it generally, but just it's really smacked me today, just how much she has. It's not how she would have planned it.
No, and I think I said to you previously, like, I don't think I would have done that.
You did say no. I wasn't going to quote you on that. You did say that on the phone because that was like a private conversation. But
Yeah.
I did say she must be some woman.
Yeah.
And you came back to me straight away and said, like, I'll be honest, I don't know if I could have taken that on that. And then you corrected yourself and you said, probably not.
Probably not, like, you know. It's not exactly the dream scenario, like when you're a kid meeting the man of your dreams, is it, like, you know? But yeah, it just speaks volumes of her, and the good thing is that, like, I continue to see her growing, you know, because we've had to live with so much, you know, beauty as well, like, you know, but then you've come through all this intense stuff at the beginning and navigating all that, and her trying to find her place and all that, and then on to the next stage and on to the next stage. So we continue to grow together, like, you know, so I'm
And I
very
think
fortunate.
that's probably, well, not probably, it is important because, like, there's still obviously a fight for justice, and that sort of,
Yeah.
as you say, the thing continues. It's not like,
I know.
you know, there at no point has anybody had any sort of closure,
Yeah.
really.
I know. Yeah, and I suppose, well, what are you looking for there? I mean, at the end of the day, nothing's changing. Like, Michaela's not coming back, but I've just got a real sense of responsibility about that, just because it was just so fucking wrong, do you know? And the fact that that had to happen to Michaela, the least you would expect was then, okay, the people that are responsible here will be will have to pay for that. And then the way the whole thing went, you know, it was just, yeah, really shitty. And I just, there's just a fight in me that I don't think I'll ever going to go away around that. And yeah, it does seem a bit impossible at times, you know, But then I look at other people around the world and cases that have went on for 20, 30 years, and that gives me hope. And I truly believe that with the will, if the right people have the will, they can make things happen, you know.
Okay.
It's just challenging because we are over here in Ireland and they're over there, and you're sort of...
Do you think is that will there? Do you get that sense? It's there.
At different times I felt that the will has been there, but then other times I'm just like, they're just telling me this, you know. But I can only control what I can control. If I can apply as much pressure as I can and almost force people into doing things, you know. Like, and don't get me wrong, it's like you could still get to a point in time where the guys that were acquitted are recharged and you go up for trial again. But like, there's no guarantees that you would get the verdict, because what we experienced was an absolute circus, like, you know. So you're back into that. But for me, that would be enough victory right now, just to see those guys going through the mill again.
And I'm just conscious that people will be aware, but we've a serious amount of younger people listen to this podcast as well. And when Michaela died in 2011, 2 hotel workers were charged. They were found not guilty. And, you know, what came out through that court case was the crime scene wasn't sealed off. It was contaminated by people walking in and out. So there was a lack of DNA evidence that was able to be claimed. But there was a confession, which is a fairly solid piece of evidence, and then came round saying that there was essentially torture to beat that confession out of me was a phrase that was quoted, and the not guilty verdict followed. But I suppose the obvious question, which we've kind of touched upon there, do you feel you'll get justice?
I think that if I focus too much on the outcome, then it's not going to serve me well. You know, I think that all I can focus on is the pursuit of that justice. As I say, it's out of my hands. Like, ultimately, you know,
Yes.
certain people have to do what they have to do.
Where is it now, John? Just that piece. I didn't expect to be able to get into this, but where?
Yeah.
You know, briefly, where is that piece now? Where's it
Yeah.
at?
So we've been working with the Department of Foreign Affairs here in Ireland for quite some time, and trying to sort of engage through the diplomatic routes, and that's where it has to be. So imploring them to sort of to do what they said they would do, and that is ongoing. You know, I can't get into too much detail around that, but it's essentially asking people to do their job, and there is assistance here that has been offered. Like, the people in Ireland, north and south, have been fantastic, like, to me around this. You know, people have really stood up, and they have been working hard to try to sort of make things happen, and that's been really positive, you know. So I've always sort of felt quite supported in that regard. But the longer it goes on, it does get sort of quite sort of challenging to see, well, where is this going? Like, but I just believe that with the right people engaged, it can happen. So, for instance, like, the PSNI can assist over there. Like, they have offered that. And, like, you need to remember who you're dealing with. Like, you know, Mauritius is an underdeveloped country. So, and I'm not trying to sort of be overly critical, but things are less developed than they would be here. So, like, if there's expertise available here that could assist, I think they should take that up. And
At the minute, they're not doing that.
They've said they will. They haven't did it yet. They make sounds that they will. They haven't did it. The proof's always in the pudding, isn't it?
Yeah.
The thing is with a case like this is nobody will ever come out and say this case is closed. That's not how it works. How it works is that it just sits there, you know. So I guess how that concludes is ultimately down to me, because the minute I would sort of stop pursuing things, people over there will respond in kind and they'll not pursue things, you know. Which is mad, isn't it, to think that, you know, families having to drive that, like, but
That's the point. It just feels
you know,
totally unfair that that's on you.
yeah.
That's a burden.
It is a burden, and it's something that I need to be conscious about in terms of where do you place your energy, you know,
Yes.
because you've got other responsibilities in life, you know, but it is what it is, you know, and it's felt part of life now, Thomas. Do you know,
It's just the norm.
a little bit, yeah. It's just the norm, you know.
That's it's kind of scary too, you know. I mean, the norm means different things to different people, but
It is, but like, as I say, like, I live with so much gratitude. So like, look at all the good things that I get to experience in my life, like, and you know, look at other people's normal. You know, look around the world and look at other people's normal. So it's just part of life. Like, the suffering is a big part of life anyway. You know, I think you grow up thinking that everything's meant to be great. You know, it's not.
yeah.
You know, so it's just part of life. You know.
And part of life now is starting to get into coaching. And if you've got a kid playing, I don't know, John.
Only got
People say you shouldn't do it.
20 years of it ahead of you.
It was a low point of Washington's coaching career, taking his boyos. If you ever met Connell, you would probably get that.
What age is Conal Oisin?
Cuddle's 11 now.
Right.
He's maturing
Is he?
really, really well, yeah.
Yeah, we've high hopes for him.
I was told to say that.
Here
No, it's-
brilliant! They're brilliant. Like
it's, it's-
we're sort of messing. Like they're oh my
it's-
god, two great kids.
It's great fun, but you do know you'll have the balls in the car, the cones in the car, the keys will lock up. You know that's coming.
I hope so.
coming
I
your way.
hope so, because like James is 5, Lily's 3. I don't know if they're actually going to go and get into football. Like, I didn't kick a ball until I was about 9. Everything's much earlier these days, you know. But I do hope they'll pick up the love for it, because it was such a big part of my life for a long time, and you love it, like. And plus, it's so good for them, I feel, you know, to be part of teams, to be part of the GAA is massive. So, yeah. I'm sure it comes with its challenges, but I'll focus on the positives right now, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about management, John? Just further down the line, is there something that appeals to you?
It is. It's always something that I thought that I would navigate into pretty quickly after playing. But then,
I know somebody who might be able to help you out.
huh?
I know somebody who might be able to help you
Who's
out.
that?
Give you a few tips.
Yeah, who's that? Oshin, it's Oshin.
Yeah.
It's
Remember, you said that, not me.
Yeah. Oh, no, I think it's probably the next best thing after you play, you know?
Yeah.
But there's such a time commitment now. It's crazy. And, like, I'm heavily involved, obviously, with my own business. And then I've got young kids. And at times I'm thinking, Jesus, am I making excuses here? And then I'm sort of got into my running and stuff. And I was sort of like, where are you getting all the time to do all this? But I do have a sense of responsibility as well. And I suppose what the perfect scenario would be is to get involved at the sort of underage, and hopefully James and will start to sort of come through that, and you'll just naturally go. But yeah, I think it would be decent at managing. You know, I think it would. But I'm quite time poor.
Your time with Down, John. I mean, was that a frustrating time, or obviously it was something you always wanted to do, but was it a frustrating time because of where Down were at?
It was a very frustrating time for me personally, not because of where Down were at, just because of my sort of inability to make a real impression at that level, you know. So
when did you play for Down, John? What years roughly?
well, this is it. Like, you know, even the fact people terming me as a Down footballer. Like, I mean, I was involved in a few squads.
Yes.
You know, I was in 2008 and then I was out, and then I was in a little bit in 2010, and then I was in 2011, and then a little bit of 2012, but only at a panel level.
Yeah.
So
Do you feel nearly uncomfortable being labelled down
Yeah.
footballer? Yeah.
you know,
It's the GAA in you, fella. You're a thoroughbred now.
it's the truth, like. But
Yeah.
so it's always been a real regret of mine not being able to sort of to make that sort of impact.
Why was that?
Probably a number of reasons.
Were you good enough?
I felt that it was good enough, yeah. But whenever I first went in 2008, you're just going to this new environment, and there was a lot of learning there, and I never made the impression that I should have in terms of how you would be in your club, in terms of what you would bring to that environment. I probably came in a bit too sheepish.
Held back a wee bit.
Yeah, and then that means that you're not given the true representation of who you are
Okay.
as a footballer. And then maybe a couple of injuries and stuff like that. And ironically, then I actually felt that I was at my peak at 2010, but was never actually fully included in the squad. And then we won the championship at the end of 2010. But then, Michaela died and things changed that way. But overall, like I'm all for total ownership, and I just obviously wasn't good enough to make it at that level, really. I felt that I was, but I obviously wasn't, because you weren't there, But there was a hell of a lot of good footballers in Down. I would have been competing with for positions, around forwards, like. So probably, I think, a lot stronger than there is probably been over the past 5-6 years in Down.
Yeah.
More, your Danny Hugheses, Benny Coulter, Ronan Saxon, John Clark, all these lads, Liam Doyle. So, like, yeah, it's been a sense of regret there now, for sure,
Okay.
Turnover of players, probably not at that time, but subsequently. I mean, like,
massive.
I always look at that as that had to be the biggest thing, as the why Down are sort of still playing catch up now.
I believe so, and I've talked about this before, like with friends and stuff, but obviously seeing what Armagh have done recently, and this overnight success, like, of 10 years, getting to that stage where you're competitive, that's what Down need, and hopefully with Connor in there now, hopefully he's prepared to sort of go that distance, because I do believe you need to bring a group or a couple of groups and create an environment that they actually want to be there, that there's not going to be success immediately, but that you're seeing progress, and then you just go on that journey. Because I feel that for a lot of Down footballers, they were just in and out, and when I compare that, like, to Tyrone footballers or Armagh footballers or Donegal footballers to a large degree,
Yeah.
they were sort of set in their stall that maybe at 2021 I'm an inter-county footballer and that's me and this is what I'm going to be about. And I always got a sense that with Down players, they didn't make that sort of commitment to themselves, and I think you need that in order to get that place where you can even talk about being successful. It
was nearly that sense of I'll come in with Down this year.
Yeah.
You're going to play this year for
Give
Down.
it a year, sort of.
Give it a year.
I'm in this year with Down.
You know,
you heard
Definitely
that
seems
quite a lot.
to be a lot more continuity now. Definitely, you'd have to say the last couple of years.
Yeah.
That definitely.
Yeah, and again,
lads who are
that
sticking around.
comes down to the environment that he's creating, So you need to create an environment that there's a lot more for young people these days, isn't there?
Big time.
So, like, the idea of just being a county footballer probably isn't what it was 20 years ago compared to 20 years ago. So if you can create an environment where it's good to be in, it's positive for you, then I think that will make enough for those people until there's a time that there's maybe success in terms of silverware.
Yeah.
I know if I was young now, I would just love to be in those sort of environments, because I love everything around performance, and it's all about building, is my view, you know, at this stage, you know, because you're not going to get somebody to come in, we're down, and all of a sudden be competing for Ulster Championships. It just doesn't work like that anymore.
There's no January transfer window or anything like that, is there? You just have to
go at it.
Build it up, yeah.
You look at that Ulster semi-final when Armagh won the All-Ireland in 24.
Yeah.
Down, lost by a point. Jason Duffy came off the bench, scored a worldie of a winner. I mean, how things... I feel like I'm utterly depressed, you know, John, around that.
No, but it's like... Those scenarios, to me, are almost like... It's like FA Cup territory.
Yes.
Do you know that way?
Yeah.
Whereas you have to see it coming through the leagues and where you are.
Yes.
You know, that
not the one-off sort of thing. Yeah.
You know, but that's the beauty of the championship, of course.
It is.
You know?
We'll wrap it up there. We have talked about some very intimate stuff. Thank you for your honesty, John. It's been just so lovely to chat with you, man.
Thank you.
Your credit to yourself, as is Tara, as are all of you. And I'm not saying that in a patronising way. The way you carry yourself, dignity is a big loaded term, but you wear it well, fella. And continued success and happiness. We've touched upon some quite intimate stuff. So if you've been triggered by anything in the nature of that podcast, there's a really useful action line at bbc.co.uk/action line. So it's really useful, and I know I mention it sometimes, but if you feel the need that it might be helpful, hey, that's what we're about. Reach out and log in and see what there is there for you. The last question, are you happy?
I am happy, yeah. I haven't been able to say that for a large chunk of my life, but I am happy. I have a lot to be happy and grateful for, so thank God for it.
It's been a privilege, John. I think we've met a couple of times.
No, sorry. Give the conversation just before we start recording.
What?
Whether you have met or not.
Very embarrassing, you asking, isn't I?
The two of you were trying to figure out had you actually met before, and we're coming up with different answers.
We leave a last minute. No, it's been a privilege, John, and just everything you've gone through and come out the other side. It's a credit, and honestly, thanks so much for doing this, because this will help. There's so many people who maybe aren't in exactly the same position as you, but who are in a similar position, and this will resonate big time with them. So thanks
for saying that.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for the invitation, lads. Yeah. Enjoyed it.
No, brilliant stuff. Go well, fella. Good luck with the coaching career. We'll see you in management on the sideline in Park Esther in a few years' time down the track. Happy, health, all is well, and good luck with the running as well. You know, you're into big time, fella. No more half marathon. You're doing a marathon this year?
I am, yeah. Doing Dublin in October, so quite a bit away, but
so a couple of half marathons in the bag now. This will be your first full one.
Yeah, I know. Glutton for punishment, but
time wise, are you happy to commit to what? It just seems to be the big thing. Sub 4 hours.
Conversation. I'll do that. Jesus, I'd like to think I'd do that.
I hope. Right, fair enough.
I'll figure that out with my coach. As I say, I'm competitive. I need to sort of calm down a bit, but we'll give it a good rattle.
Good man. Fantastic. John, thank you very much indeed. Many more podcasts on BBC Sounds, many more Gaelic Games coverage as ever across the BBC and specifically the BBC Sport website. We're in the thick of league season, so plenty of coverage, plenty of stories, and Championship is not all that far away in this condensed season, so we're looking forward to it. But from the brilliant Oisin McConville and the wonderful John McAreavey and myself, thanks for listening.